Ah, home at last.
It's always nice to see you walk through that door.
Addie?
What is it, Miles?
You've got an appointment with Charlotte Robineau later today, don't you?
Are you using your detecting skills on me now?
I spoke with her at the Gascon Supper Club, and she mentioned you. Turns out she knew Desiree Lathan.
Makes sense. That social circle is tiny.
She wasn't very forthcoming, though. Do you think you might try and persuade her to talk?
Persuasion shouldn't be necessary. She usually just sits in the chair and starts gossiping up a storm. I think I know more about all the Gascon Grand Dames than anyone should.
That's good. That's very good. Right. These are the things I want you to ask her about.
So you want me to take off about an inch, but keep enough for your curls?
Yes, that's right. You know how I like it, Adelaide.
How was the Grand Dame's ball? Was your hairdo a hit?
Oh, it was. All those other old biddies were practically fainting with jealousy. Truth be told, though, the evening was rather dull. Just the regular crowd of wags and gossips. You know, sometimes I envy people like you, Adelaide.
People like me?
Yes, you know, ordinary people. Being a member of high society can be so draining. One quite lacks a sense of purpose, of ordinary honest usefulness that comes from a good day's labor.
Have you done much of that sort of labor yourself, madam?
What? No, of course not. But I imagine it must be quite good for the soul, quite grounding. Just being what you are. No airs or pretense. Oh, you've missed a bit there on the left ear. Do be sure it comes out even.
Certainly, madam. I was reading in the paper this morning about what happened with Desiree Lathan. Did you hear about that?
Oh, such a tragedy. Poor Desi. We hadn't talked in a long time, but how terrible to think of her dying in such a horrible way.
My condolences.
Thank you, dear.
Did you and Desiree used to be friends?
Oh, we were like sisters at one point.
What happened?
What else? A man got involved.
You were both after the same man?
No, quite the contrary. We both enjoyed being unattached and had vowed to keep it that way. The spinster sisters, we used to call ourselves. But I fell for a man a few years ago. We got married, and Desiree stopped speaking to me.
That's a shame.
Yes, especially considering the marriage only lasted a few brief months. I lost both my husband and my best friend. I'm sure there's a lesson to be learned in that.
I heard someone mention that Desiree had her portrait painted recently.
Yes, I heard that too. I think it was Caroline who told me. Yes, that was it, Caroline. She was looking for a portrait artist and told me Desiree had found one. Roger DeVay, I think she said his name was.
I have to say, your musical selection for today is lovely.
It's nice to know someone like you can appreciate some of the finer points of culture. In case you were wondering, The piece is the Fourth Symphony by a composer named Theophilus von Wagner.
Yes, it's refreshing to hear the Fourth Symphony for a change. Most people know von Wagner for his Fifth Symphony or his Lute Concerto in D minor.
Oh, you know von Wagner?
Although I admit he isn't one of my favorite Baroque composers, I can appreciate what he brought to the movement. I'm more in favor of Scaravaldi. His development of the Concerto Grosso makes for a much richer musical tapestry. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, well, perhaps so.
Do you have any favorites among Scaravaldi's works?
His First Symphony is quite riveting.
Do you mean his Concerto for Mandolin? He didn't have a First Symphony as such.
Well, yes, that's what I meant. As much as I enjoy chatting, perhaps you should concentrate on what you're doing, dear.
Roger DeVay? Sounds mysterious. Who is he?
Well, I don't know about mysterious. He's just an artist. Not a very good one either, from what I hear.
He didn't do a good job on the portrait?
Oh, no, he did fine. I just meant he hasn't really taken off. His paintings aren't worth very much, you see. But Desiree took a liking to him very quickly, even went as far as giving him an extra key to her apartment. If there was anything more going on between them, I couldn't say. But she could have done a lot better, if you ask me. I mean, he's barely even an artist now. I heard he took a teaching position at the university. Now, who would want their likeness immortalized by a lecturer?
I see. Well, I hope he makes it in the world someday.
Miracles may happen.
Good. I think that's all finished.
Thank you, Adelaide. It was a pleasure, as always.
Likewise, Miss Robineau. I'll see you next week. And she didn't tip very well either.
I'm sorry, dear. She sounds positively dreadful.
No more than the other Gascon Grand Dames. I just hope you managed to get something useful from that.
Enjoy your reading. I'll be back soon.
Good luck.
Well, so much for modesty. Is it warm in here or is it just me? These aren't half bad. Nice to know the students aren't completely wasting their time here. Where dreams go to die. All the tools an artist would ever need, brushes, pieces of canvas, paints. There's also several jars full of clear liquid. Interesting.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Are you Roger DeVay?
I am.
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I have some questions for you if you aren't too busy.
Will this take long? This isn't exactly the best time.
It shouldn't, no.
All right then, quickly.
Do you know Desiree Lathan?
Desiree? Yes, of course I know her. What happened to her was just awful.
Indeed. My condolences, Mr. DeVay. What can you tell me about her?
She was a wonderful woman. Sharp, full of life, extremely witty. I only knew her for a short time, but I consider myself lucky to have had her as a friend.
How did you two meet?
We were introduced at a party and became fast friends. It's hard to believe she's really gone.
Do you have any information regarding Desiree's death?
No, none at all. It came as a total shock. I heard she was burned to death. Oh, is that true?
It is.
It's really just unthinkable.
Do you know of anyone who might have wished harm upon her?
No, everyone loved her. To think someone could be capable of doing that to her, it just makes me feel sick.
Is it true that Miss Lathan recently changed her will to make you her beneficiary?
Yes, you can imagine my surprise.
My understanding is she left you quite a significant sum.
I don't see how that's any of your business, but yes, she did. I'm very lucky. Oh, I see what you're getting at. You're thinking I killed her for her money. Is that it?
I never said anything of the sort, Mr. DeBay.
No, but I can see it in your eyes. Look, Desiree considered me the son she never had, and she was like my second mother. I would never, ever even think of doing something so horrid.
Oh, I'm sure he wouldn't.
You painted Desiree's portrait, is that right?
Yes, I finished it just a few months ago.
Do you often do commissioned work?
Sometimes, but this wasn't exactly a commission, more like a gift.
You mean you weren't paid for it?
No, I didn't do it for money. It was an honor just to paint her.
I see. And did she like the result?
Well, she had it hanging in her bedroom and not in her attic, so I assumed she liked it well enough.
It was a rather nice portrait, I must admit.
Oh, so you've seen it?
Indeed I have. Regrettably, I can't comment on the likeness, never having seen the subject in life.
Ah, yes. Well, she used to say that standing in front of it was like looking into a mirror. I tried my best to do her justice.
How long have you been teaching at this university?
About 4 years now.
And do you also earn money with your painting?
Not of late. I haven't sold a painting in some time. But my salary from the university is enough for the time being. Perhaps someday I'll be able to devote the proper focus to my painting.
I'll let you get back to your class.
Right.
Huh. This is linseed oil. It's used as a drying agent for oil paintings. It would be a good idea to take a sample of this, Miles, especially now that nobody's looking. Now that we've got some linseed oil, it's probably worth testing. Well, I'll be damned. We've got ourselves a match. I wonder if Edwards knows anything pertinent about this stuff.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes,
What do you know about linseed oil?
it's an oil made from flaxseed that has many uses. Most commonly, it's used to dry things like varnish or oil paints. Some people even eat it for health benefits. I hear it goes well with a bit of quark.
And it's flammable?
As most oils are, yes. Where are you going with this?
The oily residue on that rag is linseed oil.
Fascinating.
But I found no trace of anything used to light a fire at the crime scene.
Uh-oh, he's getting that gleam in his eye.
Wait just a moment. Linseed oil. Of course! Anytime linseed oil is used, extreme caution must be taken to dry cure rags that may be soaked in it. That's because when linseed oil dries and oxidizes, it releases heat. A pile of rags soaked in linseed oil in a confined space runs the risk of spontaneously combusting.
How long would this take, exactly?
A few days, at least.
Interesting. It's a rather uncertain means of murder, but it's excellent for appearing accidental.
It's certainly not the most far-fetched conclusion you've ever come to.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but
That's it.
better get...
I ask you some more questions?
Sure, I ain't going nowhere.
Tell me about Roger's artistic pursuits.
Well, not much to tell, really. He used to paint all the time when he had his studio in the building that used to be here. He was good at it, too. Shame nobody ever bought his paintings. All that's left now are those 2 unfinished ones against the back wall there. We used the rest of his spare canvas to make the tent.
How did Roger feel about his paintings not selling?
What do you think? Made a matter in the March air. Didn't do a very good job of hiding his displeasure either. At least none around me. He always used to say he'd find some way or another to make the money he deserved.
Odd. He told me he was content with the salary he got from his teaching job.
That's a load of bunkum if I ever heard it. Truth is, old Roger's about as poor as Job's turkey. He'd do anything to make a quick crown.
Well, now, that's certainly interesting.
I thank you for your time.
Well, it's fitting that Mr. DeVay is an artist, because I think he's painted us a pretty clear picture of what happened to Miss Latham.
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
I'm done with the Latham case.
Oh? What have you got?
She was murdered by Roger DeVay, a professor of art at the university, in order to claim her inheritance. DeVay befriended Miss Latham and even painted her portrait, but his failure to establish a name for himself and earn a living from his art was driving him mad. Miss Latham cared for him as a son, and recently changed her will, naming Roger as her sole beneficiary. Roger knew of this, and decided killing Miss Latham was the best way to solve his financial troubles.
And how did he manage to do so?
Desiree had given him a key to her apartment. While she was out at the Grand Dame's ball, he entered and left a pile of rags soaked in linseed oil under her bed. She arrived home drunk and passed out, unaware that the rags were growing hotter by the minute. Eventually, the oil burst into flames, burning the rag pile as well as poor Miss Latham.
How awful. Well, I'll certainly pass along the information. What an astounding series of events. Although I'm sorry you won't be able to gloat to Snelling that you solved the case before his detectives did.
I can find other means of amusement, I think.
Good work, Fordham. As usual, I'll send anything else your way as soon as I get it.
Roger DeVay?
Yes, what is it?
You're under arrest for the murder of Desiree Latham.
Oh, I see.
Come with me. We need to ask you some questions at the station. And you up there, make yourself decent, would you?
Dearest, I'm back.
There you are. I was starting to get worried you wouldn't make it home in time.
In time? In time for what?
For dinner at the Rutherfords. I told you about it the other night, don't you remember?
I'm terribly sorry, dear. It must have slipped my mind.
How you haven't yet been presented a prize for Husband of the Year is beyond me.
There's still time for you to get ready if you hurry.
Why not just reschedule? I'm sure they'll understand.
They're leaving on a 2-month trip to Europe next week. This will be the last chance to see them for ages.
Then go ahead without me. Please give Anne and Joseph my regrets.
So you're just going to sit here at home by yourself?
I'll probably just catch up on my reading or try and get some sleep. Maybe I'll get around to reading that story in Brentwell's.
All right, suit yourself. I shouldn't be home too late, but don't wait up.
Have a wonderful time, my love.
Ah, alone at last.
If only I were.
Careful what you wish for, Miles. You just might get it.
Seeing as I won't, I think another trip to the Angel's in order.
Oh, you're gonna break your word in addition to lying? That's bold.
Nonsense. I'll be home in no time. It'll just be a quick drink to calm my nerves and get you out of my hair.
I think I need a machete for that, Fordham.
Very funny.
So, that last case was really something. Classic example of murder for money. Such a shame. Perhaps with Roger in jail, Miss Lathan's riches will go to a more worthy cause, like feeding the poor. You're not listening to me, are you? Oh, right, you've had 2 drinks already. Fine, I'll just see myself out.
Copper for your thoughts, Miles?
Oh, I was just thinking about a story I read tonight in Brentwell magazine. It's called The Dissembling Mechanism. Are you familiar with it?
Afraid not. Brentwell isn't really my type of magazine.
It isn't mine either, but my wife suggested I read it, and it struck a bit of a chord.
Go on then. What's it about?
The story concerns an inventor, a man who's the greatest mind of the modern age. In this story, ethericity's been discovered, and the inventor understands and uses it in his work.
Ah, one of those fantastic speculative stories.
Anyway, this inventor spends his time creating mechanical wonders, the likes of which the world has never seen. The inventor has a wife, whom he loves dearly. One day, she meets a tragic end in a carriage accident. The inventor is devastated.
All too common in these types of stories.
Yes, well, as I mentioned before, the inventor is the greatest mind of the modern age. He spends weeks researching a way to bring her back. He toils for hours, forgetting to eat, neglecting his duties, forgetting his friends. Finally, he finds a way to repair her broken body with mechanical implants. Once that's done, he harnesses the power of ethericity and revives her from death.
Why would he go and do something like that?
Because the inventor's obsession was fueled by guilt. He felt responsible for the death of his loved one and would stop at nothing to make things right.
But why? He had nothing to do with the accident, did he?
Guilt is a strange emotion, Patrick. It can easily trump rationality, believe me. In any case, things don't go well. The inventor brings his wife back, and at first she's confused, wild. With time and patience, he tries to ease her back into the world of the living. But gradually, he comes to realize that this person he's brought back isn't his wife. Not as she was, anyway. When he understands what he's done, he flies into a fit of madness, and he kills both his creation and himself.
How tragic.
He also leaves behind a note which closes off the story. I can still recall the exact words. This dissembling mechanism hath not the vital breath of she whom I loved. It is not her. I have formed but a vain, mocking shadow of what is forever lost.
That's one hell of a story, Miles.
As I said, it resonated with me quite deeply.
Same here. I can tell you, I'm glad that ethericity crap hasn't been discovered, or else this sort of thing won't just be in stories. You mark my words.
Yes, I suppose that's one way of interpreting it. I should probably be getting home.
One last gin for the road?
Ah, hell, why not? It's later than I thought. Addie must be asleep.
Miles, I thought you said you were staying in tonight. What happened to you?
Nothing. I went out for a bit and lost track of time.
Miles, you're dead drunk.
No, of course I'm not.
Don't you dare keep lying to me, Miles. It's obvious. I can smell it on you.
But I'm not drunk. I only had 2, I think.
I don't care how many you had. You promised me this wouldn't happen again. Where exactly did you go tonight anyway?
I was at the Angel.
The Angel? But why would you go there?
I suppose I was just trying to relive the old days.
So why didn't you tell me you were going?
I don't know.
Miles, this has to stop. First it was that sleep medicine, now you've started to go out drinking yourself into a stupor after you explicitly promised me you wouldn't again. It's clear that you've been keeping something from me and using drugs and drink as a way to avoid dealing with it.
No, really, it's just...
No, Miles. I'm tired of the lies. I heard what you said when I came home from my appointment with Mrs. Lefebvre. God forbid Adelaide ever find out about something. I wanted to think I'd imagined it, so I let it go. But I've come to realize just how wrong I was.
Addie, please.
Enough. No more excuses, no more lying. I just want to hear the truth. What is it you're not telling me?
I can't tell you, Addie. I'm sorry, but if I do, you'll think I'm crazy.
Do you know what I think is crazy, Miles? The fact that you think it necessary to lie to your own wife. Am I to believe that for all these years you've never felt you could trust me?
Of course not. It's just that this is different.
A lie is a lie, Miles. And the bottom fact is you've been lying to me for months. Perhaps I was too naive or too distracted to see what was really going on, but you finally opened my eyes. This can't go on. I refuse to let it go on.
What are you saying?
Get out, Miles, and don't come back until you're ready to tell me the truth.
Addie, you don't mean that.
I do mean it, Miles. I don't care where you spend the night, but it's not going to be here. If you ever decide you want to tell me what's going on, I'll listen. But until then, just go. Oh.
Take me away from all my troubles, so far away from all the worries in my life. Who in the ether is calling at this time of night? Oh, Miles! Please come in. It's so nice to see you outside of work.
Oh, I get a hug and a kiss? Is that how it works now?
You put up your rough and tough attitude, but I know deep down you're really a kitten.
Upton, are you drunk?
No, of course not. I admit I like to have a glass of wine or 6 to unwind after work, but I can hold my own.
Well, I'm glad you're not, because I am.
Wait, what's going on? Is everything all right?
No, I'm afraid I've made a mess of things at home. Addie threw me out.
Oh, Miles. I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
Not as sorry as I am, believe me.
What happened?
It's really not worth getting into. Let's just say I need to figure some things out about my life.
Don't we all?
Constance, I hate to impose, but...
Of course you can stay here, Miles, as long as you need to.
Thank you. I won't need much space. That chair in the corner should do nicely.
Are you sure? You won't be uncomfortable?
I've slept in worse places, believe me.
All right. Well, I should probably be getting to bed. Early morning tomorrow and all that.
Of course. Have a good night, Upton, and thank you again for letting me stay.
Not a problem. Good night.
Election night. The perfect opportunity to switch out one rich swindler for another. Don't know why you're wasting your time. It's not as though the Prime Minister actually does anything. It's oddly quiet in here. Maybe my mustache drawing campaign had an effect after all.
Good evening, sir. Are you registered to vote?
Yes, I am. Here's my registration card.
Very good, Mr. Fordham. You've come at an excellent time. Go ahead and step inside a booth. Take as long as you need.
Thank you, young man.
A list of fools who think their opinion will actually make a difference. An ad for a brothel. At least they seem to know their audience. Yeah, at least you're already registered to vote. Having to go through that bureaucratic nightmare tonight would have just added insult to injury. I thought they were trying to encourage people to vote. With all these rules, it's a wonder anyone bothers. Well, that's taken care of. Thankfully, the Angel isn't a polling place, so we can still have a nice quiet evening.
What? My head is pounding. Damn withdrawal.
Actually, I think someone's knocking at the door.
Oh, right.
Mostly cookbooks. Yeah, at least you won't have to worry about starving while you're staying here. Not a very inspiring piece. Hell, I could probably paint it better. Should have listened to your mother. You should have practiced. Looks like that umbrella's gotten some good use. It was quite the rainstorm we had yesterday. What a handsome couple. Judging by the uncanny resemblance, I'd say these are Upton's parents. Some fool in a hat. I never understood the appeal of silhouette portraits.
Good afternoon, miss. If you're looking for Miss Upton, I'm afraid she's not in right now.
No, I've already spoken with Miss Upton. I'm looking for Mr. Miles Fordham.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm Miles Fordham. What can I do for you, Miss...
Mrs. Emily Morgan. I have a problem, you see. Miss Upton said you'd be able to help.
I suppose you'd better come in. So, what seems to be the trouble?
It's my brother, Ronan Lespay. He was murdered 4 nights ago outside a tavern in the Chum.
On election night?
Yes, I suppose it was.
Could you please tell me what happened?
The police took his body to the mortuary and investigated the crime scene, but they're out of ideas. I've been down there at the station every day, but they don't seem to care enough to look into it any further. All they've been able to determine was that it wasn't a robbery, and that the clothes he was wearing weren't his. My brother was a good man, Mr. Fordham. He would never have willingly gone to that part of town. I need to know why he was murdered, and I want whoever did it to pay for it.
Very well, Mrs. Morgan. I'll take your case.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fordham.
I just need to know where your brother was killed, and where I might be able to contact you.
He was found outside the Silent Raven. It's on Alewife Avenue, on the west side of the Chum. Here, take this. It's a photo of Ronan. It might help your investigation. And if you need to speak with me, you can come to my husband's bakery. It's here in Worcester, at 15 Drummond Street.
Very good. I'll begin my investigation right away.
Thank you again, Mr. Fordham. You have no idea how much this means to me.
Well, this case has our names written all over it. Maybe it'll be good practice for finding the man who caused my death, eh?